Afternoon. You're very welcome to the program. You're listening to SIRAJ ZAIDI until 4 o'clock. This is your own Apna radio broadcasting at 93.9 Dublin South FM. Listeners, सुनने वालों को SIRAJ ZAIDI का बहुत-बहुत आदाब, प्यार भरा नमस्कार and good afternoon. This is what my opening line is every week when I try to welcome you all in my program. And it's difficult to welcome. It's not too difficult at all because I can't see you. Obviously, you are listening me, and you are the loyal listeners, and you are the diligent, loyal listeners. Every week you tune me in and all that. So you are delectable listeners. Thank you very much indeed for listening me every week. At 93.9 Dublin South FM. So this is your own Apna program. Apna means local program. Local means here in Dublin, because in Dublin we have a little bit of audience. Anyway, quite a lot of material lined up today, and therefore I have my regular contributors for the program and part of the show are here, and the news item is here as well. So, Charmaine, you take it away, the news, as the news of the week.
93.9 Dublin South FM. On India this week, India's Prime Minister has led tributes to Ajit Pawar, Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra State, who had been killed in a plane crash in the west of the country. Pawar and 4 others died after the chartered plane they were travelling in crashed at the airport in Baramati, Pawar's constituency, on Wednesday morning. India's Civil Aviation Minister said visibility was poor at the airport at the time of the crash. The aviation regulator has launched an investigation. Prime Minister Narendra Modi called Pawar's death shocking and saddening and praised his service to the people of Maharashtra. His funeral will be held on Thursday morning. Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis described his death as an immeasurable loss and announced 3 days of mourning in the state. Pawar was one of Maharashtra's most influential leaders, governing in coalition with India's ruling BJP. The 66-year-old was affectionately called Dada, a term for elder brother in the Marathi language, by party workers and the public. Sanjay Raut from the state's opposition Shiv Sena UBT party said Pawar's death was a dark day. Without Dada, the political landscape of Maharashtra is incomplete. He had an open-hearted personality and every party worker admired him, he said. For decades, Pawar was a key member of the Nationalist Congress Party, founded by his uncle, veteran politician Sharad Pawar. In 2019, he made a dramatic move by breaking away from the NCP to join the state's ruling BJP government as the Deputy Chief Minister, but lacking support from the NCP's cadre, the alliance collapsed and Pawar returned to his party within days. In the past decade or so, he had charted a new trajectory for the NCP by embarking on surprising political alliances and managing to stay in power despite it taking a toll on its family. It's unclear who, if anyone at all, will be able to fill Pawar's shoes in the NCP. The European Union and India have announced a landmark trade deal after nearly 2 decades of on-off talks, as both sides aim to deepen ties amid tensions with the US. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and European Council President Antonio Costa are in Delhi, where they met Modi at a bilateral summit. They were also the chief guests at India's 77th Republic Day celebrations on Monday. The deal will allow free trade of goods between the bloc of 27 European states and the world's most populous country, which together make up nearly 25% of global gross domestic product and a market of 2 billion people. The European Commission said it would eliminate tariffs on most exports of chemicals, machinery and electrical equipment, as well as aircraft and spacecraft, following phased reductions. Significantly, duties on motor vehicles, currently as high as 110%, would be cut to 10% under a quota of 250,000 vehicles. This is 6 times larger than the 37,000 unit quota India granted to the UK in a deal signed last July. India will also cut tariffs on wine, beer and olive oil from the EU. Brussels said the agreement would support investment flows, improve access to European markets and deepen supply chain integration. Delhi said almost all of its exports would get preferential access into the EU, with textiles, leather, marine products, handicrafts, gems and jewellery set to see a reduction or elimination of tariffs. While commodities such as tea, coffee, spices and processed foods will benefit from the agreement, Delhi has prudently safeguarded sensitive sectors, including dairy, cereals, poultry, soy meal, certain fruits and veg, balancing export growth with domestic priorities. Delhi and Brussels have also agreed on a mobility framework that eases restrictions for professionals to travel between India and the EU in the short term. The trade deal comes as both India and the EU contend with economic and geopolitical pressure from the US. Delhi is grappling with 50% tariffs imposed by Donald Trump last year amid talks aimed at securing a trade deal between India and the US that are still dragging on. Last week, Trump threatened to escalate his trade war with European allies for opposing a US takeover of Greenland before backing off. Costa said, without naming the US, that the trade deal would send an important political message to the world that India and the EU believe more in trade agreements than in tariffs. An outbreak of the deadly Nipah virus in India's West Bengal state has sparked concern in parts of Asia, with some tightening screening measures at airports. Thailand has started screening passengers at 3 airports that receive flights from West Bengal. Nepal has also begun screening arrivals at Kathmandu Airport and other land border points with India. 2 cases have been confirmed in West Bengal since December, reportedly in healthcare workers. Some 196 people who were in contact with them have been traced and tested negative for the virus, India's health ministry says. The virus can spread from animals to humans. It has a high death rate, ranging from 40% to 70%, as there is no vaccine or medicine to treat it. The World Health Organization has described Nipah in its top 10 priority diseases, along with pathogens like COVID-19 and Zika, because of its potential to trigger an epidemic. The incubation period ranges from 4 to 14 days. To date, no drugs or vaccines have been approved to treat the disease. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney will likely visit India the first week of March and sign deals on uranium, energy, minerals and artificial intelligence, Dinesh Patnaik, India's High Commissioner to Canada, said in an interview. Carney is making all-out efforts to diversify Canada's alliances beyond the US, its top trade partner. In Davos last week, he earned a rare standing ovation for saying the old rules-based order is over and called on middle powers like Canada to build coalitions to shape a fairer, more resilient world. His viral speech followed an agreement with China to slash tariffs on electric vehicles and canola and open up to $7 billion in export markets as he tries to double non-US exports over the next decade. Carney is also resetting relations with India after his predecessor, Justin Trudeau, accused the Indian government of involvement in the killing of a Sikh separatist leader in 2023. India has denied the claims. Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended the Group of 7 summit on Carney's invitation last year, and several of Carney's ministers have travelled to India. And finally, a decision on whether Pakistan will boycott next month's Men T20 World Cup is set to be made by early next week. Pakistan Cricket Board Chair Mohsin Naqvi held talks with the country's Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif on Monday to discuss their participation in light of Bangladesh's withdrawal. The International Cricket Council replaced Bangladesh with Scotland on Saturday for the tournament, which is being co-hosted by India and Sri Lanka between the 7th of February and the 8th of March. And that's all from me. You have been listening to Apna Radio 93.9 Dublin South FM.
Thank you very much indeed, Charmaine. What a lovely news item that you have actually researched and put together about this week's amazing achievements. What I'm going to talk about it today is the new world order, perhaps in the business sector, and how quickly the business sector actually moved from A to B because of the awful act of and behavior of Donald Trump and the US towards India, towards Greenland, towards all those things, that he's been hostile over the last few weeks. And the repercussion of that towards even Europe, the repercussion of that was that he's been hit right, left and center by, everybody, and including the Homeland Security, that ICE, his own, manifestation of this Homeland Security, which has been firing, getting fire back on him by Minneapolis when the blatant two murders took place by these obnoxious ICE character who is invented, and he created that, in fact, so-called the Homeland Security. Anyway, so he's been cornered, and the reason I'm sort of positive and upbeat today is that India has achieved what 20-odd years ago initiated the mother of all deal, as we're talking about it, as Ursula von der Leyen has actually mentioned that mother of all business deals, which is amount to almost about 2%, 2.5% of the overall EU trade with India. But that's a significant trade deal, which has been lacking for the last good few years. And now that a new market has been opened up, everybody is rushing towards India and China to balance it out with the, this awful American deals of tariff. He's an illiterate man. We've known no record of his qualification. We don't know anything about his educational background except the fact that he's been, enjoying himself in a lewd way with people like Jeffrey Epstein and, acting as a pedophile and all that. So despicable actor, again, despicable human being who have no respect for other nations and other countries. And the Greenland, what he's been threatening when the Europe actually put their act together and rebuttal and retaliated, he just backed off. Now, that lead to me the next most important issue that has been brooding over is that him and Netanyahu gung-ho about attacking Iran. Now, in recent days, Iran has actually again, cobbled together the support from the neighboring Arab countries, even Turkey, the first time, the major country in the Middle East and at the border of Europe, has said blatantly that if Iran has been attacked, it will be considered an act of war for us and we will intervene. Now, don't underestimate Turkey. I mean, it's a sleeping giant in the middle of Europe and Middle East. It's Ottoman Empire, ex-Ottoman Empire, pretty advanced in the air, sea, and land defense structure. Amazing people. Turkish people are good fighters. There had been several films about Turkey, and it's a great nation. I was there last year, actually, in the summertime, doing on a well-deserved holiday, should I say. And I really liked the place because the food is very good, the people are very good, people are really. It's a amazing combination of East and West. Should I say Middle East and West? Would I say? Tourism is amazing. The tour on the River Nile, and beautiful place, and it really is beautiful place, and pretty reasonable, pretty cheap, not as expensive as Europe. But the Turkey has actually said that if you ever dare to attack Iran, you would be sorry, and there will be all-out war. Nothing will be safe, and so they thought that they can actually isolate a Muslim country and create a havoc, as they have actually sent their agent to destabilize the country by burning down 200 mosques. And he say that, audacity of it. Oh, I request the people of Iran to take over their institutions, and we are sending help. Help is on his way, and the son of Shah is on his way as well to take over the power. Hello? I mean, does he have any record of Revolution 1979? Does he know anything about the Islamic Revolution of Imam Khomeini Qaddasallahu Nafsi al-Zaki? That means that the most honorable Imam of the time, Imam Khomeini, has actually shut the mouth of America, Britain, Russia, everybody with his Islamic Revolution of 1979, and threw the Shah out. Reza Shah Pahlavi escaped, and then the actual form of Wilayat-e-Faqih, the system of governance, it's a Persian name, system of governing the country by putting the supreme power and leader in the hands of the most knowledgeable, the most superpower over. It's called marja-e-taqleed. That means the people who follow him beyond their boundaries. And the effect of that is amazing. That people now switching over their allegiance, who used to be with different other Maraja. Maraja means a spiritual leader, basically. And so therefore, they have created the system of Maraja, who is an ultimate power. Who is it? Sayyid Ali Khamenei, who was a soldier in 1979 war, and he lost his left arm. As you can see, that his left arm is been amputated because he got a hit on that. So he's a retired soldier now, holding the most powerful position in the world. A stage which is respected by the neighboring people, such as Saudi Arabia, such as Turkey, such as UAE. They all have refused to offer their airspaces, by the way, that they will not, in case of Americans, venture it out. Surely the ship is there now, has arrived in the Gulf, the HMS, whatever, the Abraham Lincoln ship, whatever this major, notorious ship is there now, which is the basis of landing and taking off the aircraft. Now, that is there, but that could be synced by the Iranians. Iranians have said that there will be Titanic 2. It will be, we will sink it absolutely with our power, the missile power that we possess now. And when they display their missile power, they got really scared. So they have no capacity, as I said, or balls to attack Iran. Even if they would do that, they will regret it, because Iran doesn't have anything to lose. They're not for this world. They are for spiritual. They're spiritual people. They don't care about this dunya and this world. They just, protect. And they've never been actually overcome by any superpower before. They fought 11 years of war with Saddam Hussein, next door neighbor, who invaded and backed by people like Britain. Margaret Thatcher was at the time in power. And of course, the United States and or all the other European allies. So surely European allies will rattle, the Americans' cause and all that if they attack. But on the other hand, the China and Russia both have said that, dare you not to attack Iran, because our strategic interests will be abrupted. The business structure of the world will be erupted, and the world will change the course of its action. Anyway, that's a big topic, and I'll return to that topic some other time. But in fact, once the Iranian ambassador presents his credentials to the president of Ireland, I would be inviting him here in the studio to talk to him and asking him about the current situation. He's a new ambassador, and his name is Ishaq al-Habib. So I will invite him sometime as soon as his credentials are cleared and all that. Before that, he cannot be engaged in any public engagement. And that much I learned by dealing with diplomats and rubbing shoulders with the new and old ambassadors of different countries. That's what I do. I do really like the sophisticated diplomatic scene of Dublin. talking about that, China has, I've heard about recently that China is building one of the largest embassies in London, in fact. So there's a cordial relationship between China and the UK is happening. So China and Russia both have actually backed Iran on their side. So they're not alone, in fact. And on the foot, people are, would you believe, in India and Pakistan, people are on foot leaving India and to support Iran. Women, without any weapons or anything. They're just supposed, emotionally and psychological support that they're going to give to Iranian soldiers and all that. So it's a big issue. It's a big thing. And next few days will be, they've gone very quiet, in fact. Both Donald Trump and Netanyahu has gone absolutely quiet. What is cooking underneath? No one knows. Anyway, Sharad is also talking about business achievement of India. And his angle is very interesting because he's talking about nothing to do with the actual deal, trade deal, but the geopolitical situation. And I 100% wholeheartedly agree with that, because what happens in the trade and business sector always follows the geopolitical situation and political situation. And because he's been behaving like an idiot, Donald Trump, and threatening and raising 50% tariff and all that, so the other countries moved in very quickly, particularly EU and Brussels have moved in very quickly. And Ursula von der Leyen, as Charmaine has mentioned, was the guest of honor at the 26th of January, which was 77th Republic Day of India. And I'll talk about the Republic Day as well. This just passed a few days ago. But here, Sharad has got something to say. And so therefore, sit back, relax, and listen to what he has to offer.
So this trade deal between India and European Union that has happened. And it is not just about tariff, exports or balance sheets. It's about power. It's about fear. And it is about the world that no longer behaves the way it used to. On paper, the numbers are impressive. The European Union is already India's largest trading partner. Trade in goods touched over $142 billion in 2024. And this is nearly 12% of India's total trade. And India, in return, is now EU's 9th largest trading partner, but roughly 3% of EU's entire trading deals. So together, if you look at it by volumes, together, India and EU represents about 2 billion people, of which 1.4 billion are Indians. And they say so, a combined market of $27 trillion, which is roughly 1/4 of global GDP. It's a huge trading volume, and only few trade arrangements in the world carry that kind of weight. And yet, for nearly 20 years, this deal simply did not happen. Actually, the talks began in 2007, they collapsed in 2013, and for almost a decade, they were just negotiations and it went nowhere. So the real question is not why this deal makes sense. The real question is why it became possible now. Obviously, the answer lies not in economics, but in the geopolitics, the current environment, and more specifically in the growing unpredictability of United States under Donald Trump. So under Donald Trump, trade stopped being a neutral instrument of growth. It has been weaponized. It has become a weapon. Tariffs are no longer tools of negotiation. They have become tools of punishment. That is new. And India knows this firsthand. The United States imposed tariff as high as 50% on Indian goods. Included with that was a 25% penalty for India's refusal to stop buying Russian oil. All that is bullying, I would say. These tariffs has hit Indian steel, aluminium, engineering goods, chemicals, and these sectors employ millions of Indians. And this sector actually sustains India's export economy. On the other hand, Europe was also not spared either. Several EU countries faced sudden tariff threats after refusing to accept Trump's controversial proposal involving the famous Greenland. Although the threats were later withdrawn, but the message was delivered. Alliance, NATO alliance, and the trade alliance between the US and the Europe no longer guarantee economic security. And in such a world, hedging is no longer a luxury. It's a survival strategy. And this is the real backdrop to the India-EU agreement. So it is not enthusiasm, it is not negotiation, but it is a fear of coercion. This is also why the deal did not happen in isolation earlier. India has signed multiple trade agreements recently. The EU has revived long-stalled negotiation elsewhere also. They are doing it with China. Britain did with India. Recently, Germany did a big trade deal with India. So all that is happening in order to move away their risk from United States. And just this month, Brussels concluded a deal with the Mercosur bloc after 25 years of talk. Now, Canada, under Mark Carney, is resetting the trade ties with China. And as we speak, the UK Prime Minister is in China and is cautiously re-engaging with Beijing. Beijing, on the other hand, on a side note, is building in the middle of London single largest embassy and consulate in Europe. Even though when there have been enormous detailed discussion about the security threat that China possesses over UK and Europe. In fact, there have been allegations of Chinese spy, of Chinese sabotage, of Chinese using backdoor internet technology to carry the data back to UK through its routers and networks. Even with those kind of security threats, UK is now engaging with Beijing. Across the world, countries are quietly preparing for a post-American economic order. So in that sense, the India-EU deal is not merely commercial, it's a signal actually. A signal that major powers are willing to band together to reduce vulnerability, to move unilaterally away from the pressure of Washington. And that explains the unusually strong political language. Prime Minister Mr. Modi and the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen called it the mother of all deals. Now, the European Commission President, she spoke openly about reducing strategic dependencies in the world where trade is increasingly weaponized, not by everyone else, but only Donald Trump. And Modi spoke of global turmoil and the need to stabilize supply chains. So this language is not just accidental. Well, India is talking, EU is talking, Canada is talking about it. And if we consider Britain out of EU, British Prime Minister is talking about that. And Washington did hear it. The US Treasury Secretary accused Europe immediately of financing the war against itself by signing a trade deal with India. Now, what does that mean? That means that India, while it is purchasing Russian oil, it is funding Russia against Ukraine. And that's how the US Treasury Secretary is talking about financing the war against itself. India's response have been consistent. Nobody understands, although, what they are trying to do. But then they are silent. They are not reactive. They are keeping quiet, continuing to do what they are doing. So their response is consistent. Affordable energy is not geopolitical endorsement. It's a development necessity for a country like India, which points towards 1.4 billion people. Simultaneously, with Putin's visit to India, India has made it very clear that its relationship with Russia cannot be switched off like a tap. It's a decades of defense dependence and therefore cannot be undone overnight. The relationship with Russia is now, I would say, nearly 100 years old, and therefore, whatever is the government, the nature of Indian government, it is not going to hamper the relationship with Russia. But this is where the EU deal matters. It allows India to diversify, to deepen the defense ties with France. So India is importing Rafale fighter jets, and it is to explore partnerships with other European suppliers like Germany, like Italy. And this together will slowly rebalance the dependence on United States without sudden rupture. The word rupture is new in geopolitical vocabulary. And for Europe too, India offers something critical. It is now offering an alternative market, a manufacturing partner, and a slight hedge, I would say, against dependence on China. Now, China, though rarely named aloud, hangs over this agreement like a shadow. We cannot ignore China. both India and EU are searching for ways to counter China's dominance in the global trade and supply chain. So China is sort of a shadow partner or shadow threat of United States. But this agreement is not without risk. We should talk about that also. This deal still needs legal finalization. It must pass the European Parliament and it must survive the domestic politics across the member states, say it Belgium, France, Germany, Italy, others. So there are many unresolved issues, say like intellectual property rights, agriculture, which Indians do not want to touch, digital rules. It's a free-flowing legality about the digital India, and most importantly, the carbon counts. Now, if the carbon credits or the carbon border adjustment mechanism are imposed on the Indian exports due to emissions in the Indian manufacturing, it is going to hit the Indian exports. So that was just a brief I wanted to let you know. It's a complicated matter. We can leave it for another day. So overall, if you see, the celebrations have to be cautious because it is not about trade. It is about the rebalancing of geopolitics. And whenever the politics comes into picture, we have to be careful. Now, there is a deeper Indian story also here. India's relationship with trade has always been uneasy, and it is not without reason because the East India Company did not arrive in India, did not cross the shores of India as an army. It arrived as a trader. And commerce became conquest, and those conquests became control, and the trade hollowed out sovereignty of India. Now that trauma has shaped independent India's instinct. Protectionism was not ideology, it was a self-defense. And over time, this protectionism has become rigid. It has brought in inefficient manufacturing, and also in a way, it has been isolating India. Although the reforms of 1991 did overcome some kind of protectionism, but we cannot touch many of the manufacturing sector, and there is a no-go as far as agriculture is concerned. So what are we seeing now? It is not a reckless embrace of openness that Indians are doing. It is something subtle. It's a negotiated confidence, as I say. And while India is no longer opening up the market because it is compelled to, but it is doing so because it is believing in the new age that it can bargain as equal because of the large size of the market. And this trade deal of trillions, this trade deal is not really a rejection of history. It is now trying to adjust what East India Company taught India and how we need to balance our interest, India's interest in this globalized economy. There are testing times because protectionism is not disappearing, nor it should. I'm in favor of protectionism, but it is evolving. And the fear from isolation is giving us a strategic engagement. So in a fractured world, there is partnership coming in, but India should not lose itself. There is a character of India. There is a method in India. There is a way in which Indians have to do business. So even this large trade deal, whenever it becomes formalized, India must maintain itself, must maintain its position as an equal partner in all the deals coming forward. With those thoughts, with those details, I leave you until next week. Stay safe, stay informed, dutifully ask questions. At the end of the day, somebody has to stand up. Bye for now.
Dublin South FM. You wouldn't buy a car without knowing its history. So why would you buy a story without knowing who's telling it? Come here and I tell you. It's not always easy to verify what you see, read or hear. But now there's help. Visit www.bemediasmart.ie. Stop, think, check. Be Media Smart. Brought to you by Media Literacy Ireland, supported by RTE.
Dublin South FM is proud to announce the launch of the Dublin South Podcast Studio. Located in the Dundrum Town Centre, the Dublin South Podcast Studio provides creators and businesses the environment and expertise to produce high-quality podcasts, designed to help keep you engaged with your audience. We provide a full podcast production service, including studio recording time, editing, and all post-production requirements. To find out more, please visit our website at www.dublinsouthpodcaststudio.ie or contact us at 01 296 5027. That's 01 296 5027.
Have you been unemployed for over 12 months? Would you like to do something to help benefit your local community? The Southside Partnership TOOS programme can offer you valuable part-time, local work experience opportunities in the community and voluntary sector. Current positions available include radio production, sports coaching, librarian, caretaker, administration and many more. While taking part, you will receive a top-up on your social welfare job seekers payment and gain valuable work experience, helping to boost your motivation and confidence. For more information on positions that might match your interests, please call us at 01 706 0100 or go to www.southsidepartnership.ie/TOOS.
Broadcasting to South Dublin on 93.9. This is Dublin South FM.
Welcome back to the program. Indeed, this is Dublin South FM 93.9. Broadcasting worldwide, and today is the Thursday, and I am reaching out to you wherever you are in the world, in Dubai, in London, in India, and of course here in Ireland and the UK. So because the world is supple, the politics and the geopolitics of the world is very, very close to my heart, and I really am interested in how these countries do trade with each other. One thing really puzzles me is that if the embassies are, and it is because of the Russian experience here in Dublin that we had during the war between Ukraine and Russia, that Irish people got very annoyed with Russia, and one of the guys actually reversed the huge truck, at the closed iron gate of the Russian embassy here down the road from the studio here, literally 5-minute drive up in the Milltown area. So what happened is that the embassies, and I'll tell you all about it at the time of revolution in 1979, when Iran actually shut down the British embassy, and they clammed over the British embassy and the US embassy, and indeed cut the diplomatic ties. So embassies are very interesting places in any capital, and we have small country like Ireland. We have a sophisticated number of embassies. Not all countries have got embassies here, but majority of the nations do have the embassies around Aylesbury Road in D4 and all that, but they're all scattered all around Dublin. But the diplomatic relationship with each other's country is a significant one, because our ambassador, Mr. Akhilesh Mishra, who is now leaving Ireland, his term is over after 4 years, and we will be giving him a see-off on the 7th of February. I tried to actually call him in the studio, but no luck whatsoever. He said to me in one meeting that, we have to deal with every country, and every country has got an embassy here, and we have to go to their places and develop the deals and develop the economic. The only bottom line for him was the diplomatic relationship, was bilateral relationship. What is bilateral relationship? Do you know that? Bilateral means what is my relationship with this country and that country's relationship with Ireland. So the bilateral relationship is always a diplomatic way of actually signing the deals in education, in economy, in culture. Now, culture is something that I have been part and parcel of the whole thing because of my film festival that I run every year, and because the culture activities that I do, and because here on air I talk about these things. So culturally speaking, in this deal that Europe has signed with India, no mention of culture, no mention of film industry, no mention of television industry, no mention of any other cultural industry. EU has got a huge program, and I've been part and parcel of that. It's called the Media, started with the Media 92 program in 1992, and that it keep extending. And what it is, it means that EU has a branches of their media sector in each other's country. Why and how they can do another deal with India, whereby the media shape of media is in the hands of the ruling BJP party, so-called the Godi media, and they must understand this point. They must not play blindly in this game of trade deals, not respecting the fact that media is now shut down. And if you criticize the government, you have no right to criticize the government, by the way. If you do, then you will be affected. So that point EU must raise, and EU must actually engage India with opening up and being neutral about the media. And media is impartial, just like judiciary, just like courts, and the media is the fourth pillar. The fourth pillar is gagged by the ruling party, is not acceptable. And so therefore any deal with EU would engage with India must raise this point and must fight for that, because obviously it becomes a tool in the hands of the governing power. And they said, oh, well, if we control the media, then we can control everything. But no, not in this age of social media and digital technologies and all the rest of it. But this is a big issue. This is a question that we must share the light. On a lighter note, daffodils are popping up. Things are changing. Seasons are changing. We celebrated Basant Panchami recently in India, which is the change of season. And soon it will be Nowruz in March, February, and end of February. And Holi. The Holi is not holy, as we know in English terms. Holi is the festival of color. That will be celebrated in March as well, or end of February. I'm not sure exactly what day. And I'll be playing songs of Holi and all that. But seasons are changing and temperatures are changing. Still very cold. The storm Chandra. We named it, I think, in the Met Aaron, some Indian people are working. And they're working everywhere now. The Indians are everywhere in Ireland. So he gave the name to Storm Chandra. And it was a storm. Flood was badly affecting certain areas. Our area, Rathfarnham, has been affected badly. It was flooded, actually. Some dam was bursted. But now it's quickly back to normal and all that. But for a day, everything was shut down. Schools were shut down. A couple of meetings were cancelled and all that. Anyway, talking about the changing season is that things do change if you have vigilance and if you have quick rebuttal and response to any aggressor in the world, around the world. Before that, we used to think that, they are powerful, they have so much power, military power. That military power means nothing if the world get united and gung-ho against them. And that's what the bottom line is, that you should not suck up into them, rather than you should fight together with all the other powers with you. So the other new things which is happening is some sort of alliance happening in the Middle East about the countries that if you take one Muslim country, the other Muslim countries will be affected and they will consider an act of war, sort of like a Muslim NATO. Again, no formality has happened so far, but things are in motion. Anyway, sit back, relax and enjoy track time, music time, and without music, ain't program is no program. So sit back, relax and enjoy the first track. Latha ji is here. Ye dil tum bin kahin lagta nahi.
लगता नहीं हम क्या करें। तुम्ही कह दो अब ऐ जाने अदा हम क्या करें
ये दिल तुम बिन कहीं लगता नहीं हम क्या किसी के दिल में बस के दिल को तड़पाना नहीं अच्छा निगाहों को झलक दे देखे छुप जाना नहीं अच्छा उम्मीदों के खिले गुलशन को झुलसाना नहीं अच्छा हमें तुम बिन कोई जचता नहीं हम क्या करें तुम ही कह दो अब है जाने वफा हम क्या करें
लुटे दिल में दिया जलता नहीं हम क्या करें मोहब्बत कर तो ले लेकिन मोहब्बत रास आए भी मोहब्बत कर तो ले लेकिन मोहब्बत रास आए भी दिलों को बोझ लगते हैं कभी जुल्फों के साए भी हजारों गम है इस दुनिया में अपने भी पराए भी मोहब्बत ही का गम तन्हा नहीं हम क्या करें तुम्ही कह दो अब ऐ जाने अदा हम क्या करें
ये दिल तुम बिन कहीं लगता नहीं हम क्या करें बुझा दो आग दिल की आग इसे खुलकर हवा दे दो बुझा दो आग दिल की आग इसे खुलकर हवा दे दो
जो इसका मोल दे पाए उसे अपनी वफा दे दो
तुम्हारे दिल में क्या है बस हमें इतना बता दे दो कि अब तन्हा सफर कटता नहीं हम क्या करें
लुटे दिल में दिया जलता नहीं हम क्या करें
ये दिल तुम बिन कहीं लगता नहीं हम क्या
जी मेरे भाइयों, that is a beautiful song, Lata ji, ye dil tum bin kahin lagta nahi. When you miss somebody, obviously this is what exactly happens, and you don't feel that you belong to somewhere, and your mind is focusing on that particular person who you're missing and all that. And a lovely song and all that. But I have another couple of tracks that I have to play today before the times will be up. And Kisi Raah Mein Kisi More Pe, beautiful song. Uske baad last song I'll be playing today, Kora Kagaz Tha Ye Man Mera. Beautiful, all these three tracks that I'll be like to play back to back. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this.
किसी हाल में किसी बात पर कहीं चल न देना तू छोड़ कर मेरे हम सफर मेरे हम सफर मेरे हम सफर मेरे हम सफर
that is a beautiful song. Again, Lata ji is here and with Mukesh ji. And interesting song about once you have come together with somebody, don't leave that person, in the middle of the journey, so-called the life journey. The life journey is something when you take the vows. And by the way, there's a beautiful film who's been nominated for the Oscar and BAFTA award as well, called the something to do with the vows and all that. So those who do take vows, they take it seriously, and then the responsibility of vows, the family comes along, and in fact, it sort of tie in the couple together. But those who don't have even a family, this song is for those as well that don't leave with each other, and once you come together. But anyway, that's about it. And I want to play another beautiful song today. That is one of my favorite. And sometime, in life, you do analyze certain things, and then you do realize that what has been going on in your life has been fulfilled or has been a pure kora kaghaz. Kora kaghaz means a paper which is nothing is written on it. So this is a beautiful song, a film Kora Kaghaz se, and a lovely, lovely song full of philosophy. So sit back, relax and enjoy. I shall be back same time, same place, 93.9 Dublin South FM next week. And bye for now.
कोरा कागज था ये मन मेरा, लिख लिया नाम इस पे तेरा।